Welcome to big mistake number 6, or as they say in Germany, or as we live in Austria, sex. So we always laugh about that.
It's the only number we remembered at first.
Yeah, they're talking about sex all the time. We thought we were talking about number 6. But anyway, that aside, what is big mistake number 6? Well, big mistake number 6 is really all about choice. Because choice is like an amazing thing, really, and we've got lots of it, but it's how are we making choices? Where are we making choices from? Because if you haven't got the relationship you want, or indeed the life you want, or the money you want, or anything in life that you want, then mostly it's down to bad choices, yeah? And we tend to, as we've always said in some of the other big bad mistakes, we're blaming the outside world for that. But how would it be? It's down to your choices. So I always...
Yeah, we also get loads of people come here. Loads of people come to us going, I've got to make a decision. I don't know whether this is the right person. I don't know whether to move in with them. I don't know whether to get married to them. Or, the other end of the scale, I don't know whether to stay or go. And they actually, a lot of people don't even believe they have choice. They almost go like, well, I have no choice. Or even when they believe they have a choice, they're going, I don't know how to make that decision.
Yeah, and it's classic, really. You get yourself into what we always call like a dilemma. Most people see life as sort of black and white, and they go, okay, well, I could either do that or I could do that. But actually, they don't really want to do either of those things, because neither of those choices look good. So then their energy's goes a bit down, and then they're going, okay, well, I've got to choose one, so I'll choose this one. It looks the lesser of the two evils. But how would it be that life's not like that? And it's those crucial choices. I always say life's full of colour. It's not black and white. It's full of colour. And I always use the analogy of how would it be? You come up to a Tjunction in your car, and basically there's a signpost off to the left that says this is the way not to love. Okay, this is the way not to love. But then the signpost to the right is empty, there's nothing on it. Now, how many people will go down a road where there's no signpost? Now, they're looking for love, and clearly this signpost says this is the way not to love, but most people will go there because they feel more safe and certain in the choice, that at least they know what they're going to have.
Yes.
Yeah? So what they do is they live a life. How does that look in life? Most people, I always say, do you know anybody who's ever doubted about anything? Do you know anybody who's ever worried about anything? Or maybe got anxious about anything, or even frustrated or angry? See, if you've got your hand up going, well, actually I do that, well, you see, the thing is, when you make choices from those places, it's basically you've gone down the road where love isn't, found yourself in a not loving place, either in or out of a relationship, and then you're making choices from that energy, when actually all you need to do is to make the different choice and go where there's no signpost, which may look a bit scary. But what's the opposite to doubt? Well, the opposite to doubt is to trust, and you trust your intuition. You learn to trust to life. Life's not this big cruel thing, is it, that comes and bites you in the leg every 5 minutes, only if you believe it does.
Yes.
And of course it bites you in the leg when you're doubting, worrying, anxious, frustrated and angry. It doesn't bite you in the leg when you're in that different place. So what does that all look like in relationship life?
Yeah, I mean, if we look at it from this way, I mean, the first thing we do is we select, or we make a choice about who to be with. And the key thing the point we're making here, the big mistake that we make, is that we make that selection from a bad place. We make that selection from a poor stance. So, for example, I'll give you an example. I meet somebody and I'm saying to myself, well, shall I, is this the right person for me? Right? And so I'm looking at them, deciding on the way they lead their life, but then I'm not looking at myself, of course, big mistake number 1. And also I'm saying to myself, well, I hate being on my own. I don't like being on my own. And, he's really nice. And I'm making it from a weakened space. I'm not making it from a space that goes, I'm in a non-fearful space where I can make that decision and select that person from a good position, from a really, I'm not frightened of being alone. I'm okay where I am, and I make that in a positive way. So it's a positive connection between two people. When you're in a relationship and you're going sort of like, shall I stay or shall I go? So many people are making that decision not because of, is this the right relationship for me? Am I getting my needs met? Am I really desiring to meet my partner's needs? Am I in this great healthy space? Does it meet all my, how I want to be, how I want to live? Have we got the same values? All those great things. It's actually going from it, well, I don't know how I'm going to deal with the money. what's going to happen about that, or where will I live, or I don't really want to be on my own again, and well, blah, blah. All that down energy stuff is going to make that decision, that choice, well, it's going to make it a really difficult choice.
Yeah, one of the things they often say, and this is very fascinating statistics, but bear with us and go, okay, some mad scientist has obviously worked this out, that 96% of people live in a place of non-love, or fear, as you might call it. And of course, if you're making your decisions from there, what normally ends up happening is you're making them from your logical brain. And it's sort of argued that the more you try that to make logical decisions, the more life will give you a bit of a slap on the face going, do you know what, that's not how it works. It really isn't how it works. So only 4% of the population have learned how to be in a very trusting to life and then get a different experience by making that choice. And it's like really remarkable, isn't it, that the number is so huge. It's so huge, and we see that when people come here. Even people that have done a lot of work on themselves, as we call it, they may have done lots of seminars and read lots of books and done lots of tapes like you're watching this now, but actually still they're in that place of doubt, worry and frustration and anger and all those things, and making choices and decisions from that place and getting not great results. So see, the trick is to become one of the 4%. So the first step, of course, is to become very hyper aware of where are you making your choices from. So for example, when you're in an argument and you're a bit angry, are you then making a decision from that place of anger? Because it's guaranteed to bring you more pain. It's not going to bring you lots of pleasure, that's for sure, because decisions made from anger always going to bring you more anger, yeah? Because that basically you're going to spur anger out to the world or another person, and what are they likely to do? Are they likely to be loving, come towards you, move towards you, or not? Or are they likely to be angry back? Well, the latter's definitely the most common thing that we see. It would be an extraordinary human being, it would be one of the 4% who could have somebody be very angry with them and be going, do you know what, that's great, it's all okay, you don't have to worry about it. When did your partner last do that? When you were ranting at them and going crazy? Well, it doesn't really happen. So the trick is to become aware of your energy when you're making choices, and then in that moment you can go to yourself, do you know what, I really get that. I really get that when I'm in a place of anger, I really accept that I get sort of angry responses from other people. That's really how it works.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think that the thing is to be hyper aware and accept that you need to be in a really great space to make these choices. So this selection mode, or shall I stay or shall I go, or is this the right relationship for me? You're going to get yourself in that right space. Then you can look at the extremes of, you might be saying, is this person actually, really great and everything, but they just don't actually fit my criteria for what I want to be. Maybe you don't share the same interests or share any kind of similar personality style or something. Whereas if you're in a bad place, you just go, well, this person seems okay,
I'll go for them.
Yeah. So the better place you're in, the more likely you are to spot where you've got similarities but not enough, right to the other end of the scale where somebody's behaving really badly, and instead of lowering your standard because you're in a fearful space of being on your own or what this person might do or whatever, you're actually saying to yourself, what, this is not to make this person bad, this is just that this person is not the person I want to be in an intimate relationship with. And actually, moving on from that, when we make those choices, we've seen so many examples of when somebody's made a choice where they've gone, you know what, this is maybe not the right relationship for me, or on a different way, actually this is the right relationship for me. Now from that great space, I'm now going to move towards that person and either go towards them and tell them about my feelings, if that's, I want to move forward in this relationship with you, or it's to tell them about your feelings that actually you don't want to move forward. And the way that you approach that, so when you're in those kind of selection mode, decision mode, when you approach that from a really great space as well, the outcome can be so much more it's conducive to you not having a load of drama in your life and a load of problems, and because what you'll normally do is go from, if you've got a lot of problems and drama about the decision, you just go on to having a load of problems and drama about the decision you make. Whereas actually it's going to be all about how you make that decision.
Yeah, and another final little distinction that I always got from this, which is really when you're in a place of love, you know, one of those 4% who's got that nice energy, they haven't got negative energy in their body. You know, one thing I always say love holds hands with is absolutely truth. Yeah, but of course, when you're in a weakened state, a low energy state, you know, maybe you're frustrated, angry, or whatever you are. What you do is notice when you're in an argument, and you can be really honest and go, okay, can I accept that I do that? Because this is big. Yeah, is do I delete things? You know, do I delete things? Like, you know, I've just had an argument with them, and then you go and tell your friend all about the argument, and you delete all the bit that might make it your fault. Yeah. Because remember, you know, who wants it to be their fault? No. You want it to be their fault, yeah? So that means you conveniently delete a lot of what was said, yeah? Now they then go and have, you know, chat with their friend, and they conveniently delete all the bits that made it their fault. So you've got two people deleting everything, yeah? Or they sort of, they distort the truth. You know, they distort the truth to make it so they're not wrong. And this person's doing the same. So what does this do? It makes you move further and further apart, digging your heels into the trenches, going, okay, well, you know, this is how I see it, but actually I've just deleted and distorted the whole situation, yeah? But of course it takes a good person, you know, a person who's going, I'm really going to step up and say, okay, what's my truth here? What am I deleting? What am I missing out? What am I not seeing that I'm doing that's contributing to this situation? So truth is one of our favourite things, really, but coming from a place of truth means looking at yourself, you know, in
absolutely
depth.
It's like so many of our big mistakes. You know, it's like you know the kind of people who's selecting the right person or making the right decision about somebody else. Always going to come down to you.
Yeah, and it's always you know, a bit of truth stirred in there. Yeah, what's the truth about me right now? Am I in this relationship? Because actually, it was my old truth is that I desperately didn't want to be alone. You know, I was so fearful of being on my own, and you know, I know that now is, you know, one of the human being's biggest things is they hate the thought of being alone. A lot of people, and obviously a lot of people are going to be sitting at home alone, going, yeah, well, I've got used to my own company, or I like my own company. The truth is, we're quite gregarious creatures. Yeah. So what is their truth? You know, are they really absolutely happy being on their own? Well, some people may have come to that. Or is it really the truth that they'd really rather be in a relationship, but they're not being truthful with themselves? You know, at the end of the day, it's that hyper level of acceptance that got me to go from that place to a completely different place. And it was accepting that, I guess.
And the other thing, you've just reminded me of something as well, is that, you know, when people are asking us about making the right choices, selecting the right person, finding the right person for them, you know, because what we're saying is stop focusing on the other person and focus on you and what state you're in when you're making that decision, what, you know, where you are. But the great news is that when you are in a good place, is you're much more likely to attract somebody else who's in a good place too. I mean, it's kind of like your great radio frequency story. Tell me that, indeed. Because that's such a great example of this.
Because I'm sort of a London boy, so, you know, for all you London people out there, you'll know this. But, you know, I always use the analogy of my radio stations, and I was like a Capital Radio fan, which is the #1 radio station in London. And basically, it sort of gives off a signal at 95.8 FM, yeah? So it broadcasts on a frequency. It's got like an energy from the radio station. And, of course, if you're sitting around and you've got your radio, you're in your car, and you tune in to that frequency at 95.8, suddenly you can hear Capital Radio. So I recognise that I live my life at 95.8 FM, and I'm giving off 95.8 FM, and all the people that I met in my life were actually 95.8 FM tuned in, yeah? So when I recognised, I really accepted that, you know, this life that I was experiencing wasn't what I wanted. I thought, is it possible that I've got a dial here that I could turn up my frequency and turn up my energy to a different level, you know? So I turned it up to 105.4, which if you're a London person, you'll know in London you get magic FM at 105.4, and truly magic started to happen in my life, because basically I'm just making a different choice. At 95.8, I'm out there blaming the world, you know, but actually how would it be? It was my choice to live a life like that. Whereas when I went up a bit higher, I'm going, okay, it looks all very different from here. And then ultimately I found 106.2, which if you're a London bod, you'll know well is Heart FM. And it's always a bit cheesy to say this, but that's when I actually met Nikki. When I'd really got my energy into that loving space, that whole different place. Down here I was like low energy and angry and difficult person to be with and what have you. Now I'm up here, I'm a completely different person, getting completely different results. So
that's how to make the right decisions. That's how to make the right choices. and be aware where you're at. What frequency are you
Could
at?
you turn your dial up a little bit and make some different
signal
choices?
are you giving off?
Yes, so there you go. Big ass mistake number 6. It's all about your choices, yeah? So we'll be back with big mistake number 7, and until then,